cigarettes on this store.
How about it? Because I will probably vape, and I mean, I had cigarettes on me, but it's only because I just got over a bout of food poisoning, and for some odd reason the cigarettes are helping keeping everything calm. I know it's weird, but
You never know.
starting, today's Sunday, so I think it was Thursday, Friday, I bought my first pack of cigarettes, and I don't know how long, because I vape pretty heavily, and my wife's like, where's the $8 at the gas station for? I'm like, well, I got a soda and a pack of smokes. She's like, damn. She's like, seriously? I'm like, they helped with the tour. I didn't have to take any nausea medication. I was like, I smoked 2 cigarettes beforehand. I was good to go. She's like, all right, keep doing it until you're fine. All right, so thermal imaging. So can everybody kind of see me in the camera? I'm going to kind of demonstrate everything. That way you guys aren't just like, oh my God, I got this gadget. I have no idea what it does. So everything obviously behind me is blue in color, right? At least it should be. So it's going to look for heat signature. So it's going to give us a full spectrum based on whatever's inside the screen. So if you take me out of it, it's obviously going to fluctuate a little bit. Now you're going to have more oranges and blues that are not me. Does that make sense? So we're going to put me back in, and it's going to fluctuate again. So with that being said, what we're looking for in this guy are the darker blue areas. So we're going to just take that sky. Obviously, I'm not going to put the crosshairs right on it. But let's say that up there was actually a solid surface like the wall behind you. I would actually look to see if it starts to move intelligently. And if it doesn't, I'm still going to try to put the crosshairs right there in the center over top of it. So that way I can actually see what the temperature is on that. So if it's a 10 to 15 degree drop, I'm excited. We've actually caught some moving cold spots with this that were unexplainable. Like things going across somebody's legs that are obviously orange in color. Now, also keep in mind, that's what I have you keeping an eye on, but when I watch this video in the morning, I'm literally going to be looking for things that are moving that are just colder in temperature. So the yellows are obviously cooler than the reds and the oranges. So if I get something yellow moving by, it just means it's about 3 to 7 degrees cooler than the reds and the oranges. I only want you keeping an eye on the blues just for that immediate reaction if something cool is happening. Okay? So actually, I'm going to hand this guy off to you. It's already recording. So the camera is right where your hand is. And I need you to keep that horizontal all night long. And you see the red square on there?
Yep.
That needs to stay a red square. In the event that it actually turns to a circle, hit it again. We'll have 2 videos. I'll have to splice them. It's just extra work for me. So try to keep it a square. Is that fair?
Yep.
All right. I usually hand that to the quiet person. He's been pretty quiet this whole time.
Oh, that'll change shortly.
Hopefully, if he finds some shit on there. Like I said, I'm looking for the gadgets that are going to record first before we dive into the extras. Alright. So we're going to use several types of spirit boxes tonight. The first one I'm going to pull out actually records. So the cool thing about this is you guys will actually have the full recording no matter where the volume is at. It stays at the same level. So what's a spirit box? A spirit box actually sweeps through radio stations. Okay, you're good. It sweeps through radio stations very quickly. So did everybody see the movie Transformers? Okay, do you guys remember how Bumblebee talked? He used the voices from the radio to speak to us. That's what this is. So we're listening for that DJ voice, song lyric, commercial, or a disembodied voice over top of the static to be able to give us a word or an answer. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so you guys can get a gist of what it sounds like.
Xbox. Peony. FM.
As soon as it wants to start up. Alright, so you can obviously see the radio station scanning on the digital face. I want something to come through so you can get a gist of what I'm listening for. Of course, perfect, right? But in a nutshell, you kind of heard that song lyric come through. Another voice just came through. I need to know what it said. So, again, our paranormal activity is actually going to speak to us through these radio stations. So, Shelby, I'm going to actually hand this off to you. It has one button that all you need to worry about. That SD right there on the screen just means that it's recording, so I kind of need that to stay there. But all you need to worry about is the volume. And it actually is a turn silent. So you turn it to the right, to the left. That's it. So if you hit the button next to it in any way, shape, or form, and it shuts off, we have to reset it. Not a big deal, but just means we got to take another minute or 2 to actually stop and reset it.
Okay. So just leave it. Just don't.
Yeah, well, obviously when I'm talking, and I'll say spirit box up, and that way that's when you know you can go ahead and turn it up, and that way you can listen. But right now it's already recording those sweeps for us.
Okay.
I don't know how it does it. It's one of the reasons why I bought it. It was kind of like, I like this extra one. Alright, so... I'm trying to think what else Alright, so this is actual EMF detector. It's doing it again. So, I don't know why it's been starting off on 3, but it seems like after, I don't know if it's because I have the air conditioning right on it when I have it in the car, but what this will do, it actually measures electromagnetic fields. This is our first indicator that something's actually happening. So this person who gets this is like kind of like our go-to person. If they have a lot of activity on this, then obviously that's the person we need to be focusing on and move to where that person is if we're separated. There's 2 places where we might separate and scatter a little bit, but otherwise this is something we'll keep an eye on all night. Normally it measures 3 types of electromagnetic fields. The one natural from the earth is normally just makes it green, just turns it on. It's something we automatically feel. Anything man-made, your cell phones, wiring, electrical anything is going to make it go into a rhythmic pulse, so we don't want those rhythmic pulses. So we don't want those either. What we're really looking for on this guy is erraticism. We want it to go a little crazy. We want it to go nuts. So I'm actually going to hand this off to you, just because you kind of give me that vibe. You just want to be involved, but you haven't really said much. So you're going to be our go-to person, and it doesn't make any noise. So you kind of, like, I realize, again, once it warms up, once we get down towards our first spot, it'll probably just go right back down to green again. And that way, like right now it being, like if we find that yellow just steady on, it's obviously something man-made that's creating a field around it. So in the event it's going crazy, it literally has to be this close in order for it to go that crazy. So the electromagnetic field actually has to be that close to you. And it's not a wave around kind of thing. It's literally just walking around, keeping an eye on it kind of deal. So I get a lot of kids that feel like there's something in the window. I'm like, dude, you're over here. It's going off. So it's that close to him. It's not in the window where he's pointing it. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of like what I actually want to go with next. Just to keep you really in the game as well, I'm going to go ahead and hand you off the digital camera as well. Have you ever used the straight up point and shoot before? Okay, it's literally got 2 buttons, on and off, and the big button is to shoot a picture. So it's not like our cell phones today, where you can walk and actually get a nice clear picture with your iPhone. It doesn't work that way. You literally have to stop, hold it still, take the picture. There is no flash, and we do that so that way we don't have any false positives. We don't want something reflecting back saying we have this stream of light and it was really just a flash bouncing back at us. None of y'all can be in the picture. I can be, but I don't have waivers from all of you that says because this stuff's going to go uploaded to a website. So that's kind of the legality of it. There's also some places with cars. I'll say, hey, let's not get any pictures over here because there's too many cars. People get a little iffy about taking pictures near cars, obviously. You can think of your own vehicles. So long as you drove, but that was an awfully nice vehicle. Imagine if somebody's taking a picture of your plate. You'd probably feel a little sketcy. Alright. I forgot name already, dude.
Ray.
Ray. What's weird is my first wedding was my best man. You think I remember? Alright, so you're going to go double-fisted, Mr. Ray. So all of your gadgets so far record something. So you guys are going to have the audio, the video, the S-Box recording. I haven't showed you what's going to be on my phone yet, and the pictures, so you guys will have access to all of that. So your gadgets are not going to record, you're just going to kind of help us debunk a few things. So this particular guy, as I put it together, is the neuralizer from Men in Black. You guys are not going to remember a damn thing when I'm done. It's actually a grid pen. So what does a grid pen do? So we literally, it's when you are using this, you want to point it straight down and maybe go 4 or 5 feet out in front of you, because this is a laser. It will shoot pretty far. See the black green lights on the building? And it goes pretty far. So what you're looking for is something's going to flash right before you. You're not looking at the green dots. You're looking between the pen and the dots. So the other piece of what this can actually do is if we actually have a slow-moving apparition. This is where my vape comes in really handy. It'll actually move very slowly through it and create those green streaks. Did everybody catch those green streaks?
Yeah.
Okay. So I usually use another one, but I actually want you to have 2 different types of gadgets. So I have another one too that it's relatively new and I haven't really had a whole lot of success with it. But it's instead of the dots, like go ahead and flash that real quick. So instead of just dots, it actually gives us a full square grid open. So that way if we do capture something and we get a picture of it, I can put it in 3D software and get a full 3D apparition of it. However, it's not as bright and it's red. And again, I just haven't had any success with it. I have had success with that one. So I just want to make sure we get something in your hands that we can work with. And last but not least, and I have the extra gadgets with me in the event that we actually need them. What helps with the thermal imaging is if we actually have a base temperature on things around us. So we should all know what these are by now, right? So this is only going to measure the things that it touches. So let's say Jake is standing where I am and he shoots a picture, or he's got the camera on the wall and he says, Nick, I got this really cool blue spot in the middle of the wall. We're going to shoot it all the way across first to make sure that the wall is the same temperature all the way across. In the event that it is, now we know that that blue whatever is between Jake and the wall. So it's in the air. This is only going to measure where the red dot lands. Does that make sense to everybody? So now I need something that's going to measure between the gun and where the red dot is. So I have another thermometer for that. But a lot of times what's kind of cool with this one is when we're walking an area, I can say, give us a base read, so that way he kind of has a gist. Now mind you, these aren't in sync. They're about 3 to 4 degrees off. But at least if you're getting 86, 86, 87, 88, you know it's about an 87 degree, and he should be looking between 86 to 87 degrees. You need to get excited when you see things drop to like 75 or below is really where we're at. What's our temperature now? I'm actually showing like 94 on the ground. 96.
Yeah, like 89 if I
88
point
over here.
towards the trees. 91, 90.
Car is at 92, so I would say get excited about 82 or less is when we're going to start looking for those colder spots. I do have, like I said, I do have extra things with me. This is actually set up for a whole group of 10. So, questions, comments, concerns? Is this what you guys thought, what you were getting yourselves into?
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
It's a little more hands-on than I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like
I kind of figured
like,
y'all would be,
you
or
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
had
you
somebody
would.
would be using the
Well,
machine,
hell
but
no, I'm putting you on to work tonight.
that works. I
I'm
like
just
it.
here for the instruction. So I use a couple of things on my phone. So not to say that was weird, my camera. So I do have a backup EMF just in case. Look, it already went down to back down. No, you had it back down to green. Go ahead. Maybe it is the area. I've been doing this for a year and it's never stayed yellow like that before. Maybe something's happening over here. But they're working, because I know they've been working inside. I'll have to dive into that. Anyway, but I do have a backup just in case hers breaks or the battery drains and I can't change it quick enough. So I use 2 different kinds of spirit boxes. The first one actually gives us a list of words. Now this is last night's list. Actually looks like I had it on all day. But the average for a 90 to 2 hour tour, 90 minutes to 2 hours, is about 40 to 80 words. Now, the weird thing about this is that 80% of this is bullshit. It's meant to be a game of numbers, so I bought the upgraded version. So it actually gives us a vocabulary of 9,000 different words, and the other 20% of the words is really what's going to make sense to us of either what's happening with us as a group, or the location that we're in, or the haunting based on the story that I'm going to tell you. Does that make sense to everybody? So the word will come up right here in the center, and it will save the list for us, and then I will actually highlight those words and give you the relevant links so that you can say, hey, we were talking about Big John's, and it comes up with the word football. Like, here's John Kennedy, the 1947 Giants. Here's the link to show that we were near this bar. This is why he was named after it. Like, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
I'm giving you the validation. So the other piece that I use, you'll at times see me wander off, and I'll say, okay, is everybody good with their gadgets? And I will actually use a reverse spirit box. A reverse spirit box takes the FM radio stations and flips them backwards. So what does that mean? That means it's going to sound like complete bullshit gibberish. And when when something comes through in forward motion, I was meant to hear it. And most of the time when I get an intelligent response, it's an intelligent response. So if I say, hey, tell me who's here with us tonight, and it says Jake, I now know who to address all the time. Sorry, I didn't mean to use your name like that.
No, you're
But
good.
I was looking at you. So, but I'm going to go ahead and turn this up just so you guys can get a gist, because you're going to hear it on your audio. So again, complete gibberish. You'll hear me talking to this thing, and you can actually hear both me and the reverse spirit box communicating back and forth. When I hear something, I'll say, oh, it said Jake, rewind by 5 seconds. So that way you can validate it as well. Which is going to be an MP3 that you can download. So I use both spirit boxes at the same time, so that way everything's nice and convenient. And guys, we actually do start here on purpose because it's haunted, and it was named after a football player, John Kennedy from the 1947 Giants. Now, I'm not a sports guy, I had to learn all that stuff, but it was kind of like I started getting his teammates coming through more and more as I was going to our next location. Oh, by the way, speaking of our next location, it's actually kind of a playground for you guys. It's haunted as shit, but I don't have a historical story. So I kind of give you the gist of some of the things that we can do there, and then I kind of set you guys free and bounce around with you to make sure I'm answering your questions individually, and you guys are using your gadgets the way they're supposed to be used. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. But then I kind of get a quick little session with my reverse spirit box, and then we move on. But this was a place back in the 70s called Big John Kennedy, and he used to sit in the back of the bar. We had the Citadel nearby, so the cadets used to come over after training and have a few drinks, but John would let the bartender know if they were of age or not. He'd cut them off, they weren't. One night, he told the bartender 2 guys weren't of age, he cut them off. So the guys got pissed off, they left, they come back the next night, and they take the register from the front of the building. Big John pulls out his 45, and takes one. The bullet hole is still in the front of the building. So, with that being said, anybody that sits in front of the bar actually starts to not feel well. Like disoriented, dizzy, queasy, those kind of things. The reason why I tell this story is because I do this on a nightly basis. I know how paranormal activity is going to affect me. I don't know how it's going to affect any of you. So if any of you are not feeling well, or somebody in your party, you guys seem like you're all pretty close. I don't know what the relationship is, brothers, sisters, couples, married, I don't know what's going on here. But if somebody's not feeling well, please speak up for the other person. Is that fair? Because I've had people pass out, and it wasn't from the heat, I promise you. It was in the middle of winter. You know, it happens. It's too much activity for some people, and they just can't handle it. If there's anything scary about that tour, it's that you don't know how you're going to react to paranormal activity. So, you guys ready to go do some ghost hunting? Yeah. Questions, comments, or anything? Telasia, you alright? Alright, let's go up this way, guys. Telasia, right? Okay, so make sure I'm saying it. Alright, so, a couple things right here. We got the Crew Cafe that's haunted, the big white building over there, it's a restaurant. They've asked me to come do a full investigation, which hopefully, once things release a little bit, I'll be able to, but I'm noted for pushing everything back in my life. Also, for the history buffs, we're one block away from the water, and during, I don't know, the pre-1800, the water would have been much closer because the peninsula of Charleston, the outskirts of it are man-made. So the water would have been much closer. So I don't know which war it was, I can't remember, once they were military, but a ship rolled up, they shot a cannon, and the cannonball landed right at the stop sign. A little bit of history there, no deaths, no tragedies, no paranormal activity. It's one of those little history things if you're into history. I usually have at least one history buff on tour. Who's that? That you?
Shelby.
So, to verify that, I want to say Mark Jones, he's another local author. He has an amazing website with like this day in history in Charleston. Oh my god, it's amazing. So now on your audio, you can look it up. So, guys, this is the Big Red Barn parking lot, and we are kind of in luck because there's nobody parked here tonight. So, this is the Red Barn where they keep the horses for the park. So, absolutely, positively no raging in the windows of the Red Barn. This is the air boxes. The Red Barn. forget the word came through on my spirit box, and none of us knew what it meant until I started looking at the roster, and Skip, I forget the guy's name, like McDowell or something, used to play on the same roster as him. So, again, rosters make sense. So, thermal imaging fan, nice slow speed through here. You're going to see that the pixelation on that is not the same as our standard cell phone. We have to also use a little bit of time to make those slow sweeps, and you'll see things fluctuate. As far as lasers, you can keep them down. You have to. You're going to play with them. You want to really kind of correct that out. So obviously keep them down and out. That wall just beyond the bush, I've had weird things happen there periodically. So if you want to use your grip in there, awesome. At this point, I normally take my pictures in there because it's normally a few cars park, so by all means, take a few pictures. If I pass shadow people, you never know what we're actually going to get. As far as the spirit box, turn it up and go ahead and start listening. And just kind of remember what you heard. Because it's already recording, you can kind of, like, I'll keep asking you if you heard anything. If you struggle to hear it, by all means, you guys all seem like, what is the relationship? Like, who's...
That's my wife.
Okay.
We're all good friends.
Okay.
Best friends.
Gotcha. So obviously you guys all came together. You can intermingle the gadgets. Normally I tell if I have like a party of 10, but it's a party of 5 over here, 4 there, blah, blah, blah. I say keep within your party. If you guys want to switch up, just kind of keep me posted on who's got what, if that makes sense. So if you're not hearing that, it takes a specific ear and a little while to get used to it. That's why I have like this practice area. It is active. Don't know why, but it is. But again, if you can't listen to it because it's too hard for you to hear it, by all means, switch it with somebody else. Is that fair? Last night, for some odd reason, I did say this, nobody heard anything. I had 2 spirit boxes, living up with the tent, and nobody heard my voice. When I listened to the audio, I found I just picked a 5-minute window where I know is normally an active spot, and I found 5 or 6 words just from listening to the other spirit box. So again, you want to hear it, exactly. So it's going to be static, so you can kind of put like a little old school boombox, you know, but okay, one word answer. If you're going to ask questions, the answers might come through a micro box, audio, or big box. You never know. So you give them answers. So if you say, hey, what color is the barn? And you don't get an answer right away, here's 15 seconds after that. Again, still don't get an answer. So 30 seconds. And you give them about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to answer. And I say, okay, what do you want to come to? And you can come maybe around the parking lot, right? So it's going to be fine. So we're all kind of together. And I'll kind of bounce around with you guys and see everything. Normally, if they start here, great. But sometimes they wait all the way until the end and it wants to make you go crazy. Okay, that's what it is. So let's go still a little bit, see if we can actually count. I guess it's the letter W. Only that's the mission. So, you've already been watching it pretty intensely. See how everything kind of moves and fluctuates?
Yeah.
Now, the other cool thing about that is if we actually have something intelligent and it's something we can't see, this will still recognize it as a structure and put those white lines around it. So let's say you get a blue ball of orb, there'll be a white line around that blue ball.
Okay.
So it'll kind of help you identify it as something intelligent that recognizes as a structure or something that's solid. Because all that knows is air.
Yeah.
You're looking at it as a 3D world with, you know, greenery, a parking lot, the sewer, you know, that's how you're looking at it, but it only sees temperature. That's it. Got the word axe. That's never a good sign. So you're getting some yellow there.
Do you have
I have 9. You want one?
No.
Hey, there's a spot over here that's like 59 degrees. What the hell is his name again? You remember what he said his name was?
Hmm?
You remember what his name was?
Shit, no.
Shelby. Shelby. What was his name? It's American, right? His name's American.
Yeah.
Look at this. He said watch the blue dots and anything that should drops below like 80. Well look, that shit's like 70 something. And this one's like 60 something. I don't know if that's just the sky, but it's in that building. That's where it is. So. But look at that. That's gotta be that building. Or the sky. It must be the sky. Cause it's like 50 degrees. Oh, there's some blue spot right there. By that door. So you should be able to see.
That was weird as fuck. But you said, let's go. Hey.
Let's go.
Oh, wow, look, that's crazy. Right whenever I heard that.
Hey, this thing's going wild over here.
That was crazy.
Here, don't put that right next to it though.
This thing was like, let's go. It's like a woman's voice, I swear.
Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything yet?
Well, it was like.
She
really
just asked me
weird.
to let's go over there, and that it said let's go.
Like immediately, it was like, let's go. And then the thing started freaking out.
So I'll tell you, I got a shit ton of words as soon as we got started, and I didn't realize it. And one of the words it gave me, basically two, was new bike. We passed where the bike taxis are. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but there's a garage right here at the end.
Yeah, I did
where
see
the
that.
bike taxis are. So the fact that we got that, and I've gotten bicycle there several times, so I'm actually gonna have to go in there and see if the guys have any stories for me. But I'll take that as actually pretty legitimate evidence. There's like we have some intelligence that either hanging out with us or already here in this particular spot. Alright, so does everybody kind of have a gist of how all those gadgets intended to work? You're obviously seeing the activity. You've heard let's go with the direction. We haven't found anything there yet that you've mentioned, but we don't know if you have anything on the audio. Alright, so what do you say we go actually learn about some history? You guys good? Alright, let's do this.
Oh, here it goes.
Oh my god, that was probably accurate. Oh, fucking.
I feel like I'm gonna trip over something.
So like what?
I'm gonna trip over something trying to walk with this.
Do you want me to follow?
A couple broken words, but
What did you hear?
just a couple broken words. I heard Charleston that last one.
Okay. So this particular location actually has some. Go ahead and turn that down for a second. So when I give you guys stories, just enough to where you guys can listen, look for but this particular parking lot actually has a lot of significance. Their mansion would have been in the front. The garden would have been lined up with a dumpster, and then the plate home would have been out here, like we're working. So Charles and Eliza actually had a son named Charles, and they also had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew mentioned three Charleses. The son and the nephew were actually signers of our Constitution. Super big deal. It's weird because they got the word diplomatic there. But sometimes Eliza will kind of like push herself in here. But I'm not into politics, so I like to talk about Eliza. Eliza, actually, you guys said you did one of them before? So,
I've never done one.
okay, so you've never done a historical before? 'Cause I can lie to you guys all night long and you don't know any different.
She would.
Yeah.
So Eliza Pinkley married her husband, so because her dad wanted her home, he thought he was dying. He lived in England, which is where Eliza's from. But she married Charles so she could stay here in the States. She actually loved Charles so much. It was home built. It was not in Charlestonian style. We kind of like design piazza. I mean, everything was ready to front. But anyway, he didn't die. They made amends, and then Dad started sending her gifts over. And she was a botanist. I told you her garden was lined up over here. So one of those plants that he sent over happened to be indigo, which is a huge deal for Charleston. Our rice plantations were like shit, and we needed another cash crop. So indigo was it. Eliza started it right here where you guys were standing. It's a huge deal. And then she moved it to other plantations that they had throughout Mount Pleasant and other inland areas. But she was also the businesswoman that sold indigo to all the leaders overseas as well. So we're talking colonial times, 1760s. It's unheard of to actually have a businesswoman. So that's a big deal for Charleston. And indigo actually makes blue dye, which is what makes your blue jeans blue. So and we still use it today. So if that kind of shows you how your blue jeans turn blue, that's it. Actually, I think it's The World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus. He actually does a whole episode on denim and indigo. So it's actually really interesting. But anyway, a couple cool facts about Eliza that you can ask, or if you want to team up with the Spirit Box, or even ask questions through your video. Eliza had 4 kids. One of them did not make it past infancy. Do not ask about that child. But out of those 4 kids, there was only one daughter. We try to ask what her name was. Eliza's also not buried here, so you can ask where she's buried, where she died, what she died from. She was also the second witness of Eliza. Yeah, so with that, you can actually ask what her name is. Usually whenever I start bringing up her name, that starts popping up in red. Another cool little trick about this place, and it's kind of weak tonight, but the light that's flickering there on the back of the 5-foot restaurant usually goes in sync with the EMF detector. So if you're actually standing anywhere and you're going to hold that thing up like you're going to take a selfie, it's usually in sync with the kind of energy that comes out of it. Now it's a little weaker tonight, which is fine, but sometimes it's not pulsing at all. So that kind of gives you a taste of what's going on with that night. It's just one of those weird things that one of my guests noticed months ago, and I've stuck with it ever since. It works. And when this place has only let me down twice. So if there's anywhere we're going to actually have like some conversation, it's going to be in the same place. This is a really big highway. Obviously the pictures of cars, we need to focus on that. Lasers kind of keep below the wall, so we don't want to interrupt the businesses and people that have anything above the wall. And of course, we're going to stay confined to the lot. I will ask that everybody stay away from the string over here. There's a lot of old bricks. I don't want to get hurt. It's very dark. So I've already gotten, again, some words, but I'm going to start my own little EVP thing and still bounce around with you guys. Eliza's really cool to talk to. This is a happy place. And she easily said my name at least once before here. So I get a hi Nick or hey Nicholas, one of those, something pops in whenever I'm in this location, at least once a week. So
That's great.
yep, happens all the time. So let's go see what we can find.
So, yeah, if anybody wants to hold the video, they can do it.
I want to know about the baby. Did you say protect you?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me about the baby?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's about to, so obviously if it's legitimate, it's not.
Oh, no. Let's not take nothing back with us. Is it blinking in rhythm with the light? Or is it going in?
Obviously, one of the first things you're going to look for is on the wiring area. Obviously, there's nothing underneath this lot. It used to be a restaurant, too. We're just in recent years. You obviously have some activity going on here. Just be mindful of the car. They're going to be backing out this way.
Yeah. Shelby, watch out for the car. What are you running for? Like anything lower than like 80, like a 10 to 15 degree drop. But some things are gonna be. I mean, if you point at the sky, it goes to like 60. You gonna watch it? You need to be using the grid camera. The only thing you use that for is shine it out a little bit for me.
So I asked what happened to the house. She told me. It burned. And that's why I moved to this corner, because it was right above, it was on the second floor. And now I'm asking to the red device with the red numbers. That way, kind of verify. So if they come back and say, "This fire," they're fire. You know what I'm saying? Like that way they can verify. They had no idea what question they asked. And now they got the word refuge, which means they probably had left this house to move into one of their other houses that they had in there. So, Eliza, who do you have with you tonight? Eliza, who is with you? Your husband. Did you hear that? Tell me your husband's name. It's weird, you got those same three lights that we had at the beginning. Oh, she finally answered the other question. I asked how many people were with me. So that way I know the exact number. Okay, Eliza. Let's go for something new. What color are the dots on the ground? Eliza, tell me what color the dots are on the ground. What color do you see? That was something, I just couldn't make it out. When you listen to the reverse voices every night, you kind of get used to like where it's supposed to sound like going forward. Did you get any words at all?
I've gotten like a bunch of stuff I can't understand, I guess you could say.
What color were those dots on the ground? No one. Finished? You're all done? Did you say good night or goodbye? We actually got quite a bit.
What's her husband's name? What's your husband? Does she have a husband? She's a businesswoman. She might have been single.
Well, again, colonial times. So one for that husband, she'd be back in England and we wouldn't have it to go here.
Where's your husband? Asked Eliza.
You can ask where the husband's buried.
Eliza, where's your husband buried? Quite a bit over here. Just to kind of do a quick recap before we move on to our next location. I did get the word refuge, but I heard the word burn when I asked her what happened to the house. It did catch fire, and it was right here above on the second floor where I'm standing now. It's one of the reasons why I came up here, and I haven't really done that, but that's where she was most reactive. I asked her several times before that how many people were with me, which is a direct question, not including me, so that way I know what number to listen for. And she did give me the number 4 later on, and that actually showed up right there. And I asked several times what color the dots were. So if I actually said something, rewind it by 3 to 5 seconds, and that way you can verify it there as well. So guys, we're actually gonna walk down East Bay Street, go to our next stop, and hopefully we actually capture some extra things. Maybe I'll hear things that you couldn't hear or were too broken with traffic or whatever. And again, with the audio, hopefully I'll capture something there on your video there. But it's about 4 blocks away. I got the word stomach. Is anybody not feeling well? Anybody hungry?
I'm
fine.
hungry.
I'm good.
All right. But obviously no lasers on East Bay Street. If it gets busy down there, just kind of have your masks in hand. But otherwise, we can be just 5 friends, kind of ghost hunting. But this group isn't that large. You guys shouldn't break away from me. I do kind of walk through briskly there. You can listen to your spirit box along the way. Obviously, keep video rolling. But if you guys want to switch up, kind of give Ray something a little bit more exciting than lasers, since you guys have all the. Okay.
Okay.
But again, I mean, we're actually capturing way more than what I did last night. So I don't feel bad about, like, last night at the end of the tour, like, I apologize. I'm like, guys, I told you from the beginning, I can't control what's actually going to happen. But I think we're going to, with you actually hearing certain things that are broken, if I have my headphones on, I should be able to catch on to some things. And I'll give you those markers to listen for on the spirit box. You'll see that you get down. All right, so let's kind of take a walk. One of the rules that we can get away with no masks is smoking. So if you're smoking, you don't have to have a mask.
What everybody's saying is light up. But for real, can I have a cigarette? Hey, Eliza, did you smoke? I bet you did. Eliza, are you smoking a cigarette right now?
But she wants to.
I don't know, but that was weird. Like, it was really, really weird. Huh?
What? What no? Oh.
Everybody looked at me. And I was like, hell no.
Yeah, I told him I'm hungry, cool. I'm gonna ask him if there's any good restaurants around here.
Maybe you should ask them.
Yeah, good shit. Huh? Yeah, he said the blue.
Spots.
Focus on the blue spots to watch them like moving. I mean, the sky is going to be cold if you shine up there. But like blue spots like this, like just watch the shapes of them and see if they're like moving or if they just sitting there. If it looks a little weird, put
By the way, that's gonna go
crosshairs
off
on
like
it. And
crazy
it'll tell you
on
how-
Facebook.
watch for it to get to like 70, 75.
Not to mention, you guys just switched gadgets.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Or she's taking pictures. They put you in charge of pictures now?
Oh, my bad.
Uh-huh. Cities in the south. Who's got the camera now? Like this is a great picture of it. It's nice and still. Somebody's chilling with us tonight. They get weird, like, light differences down here. So, like, I usually have to send stuff off to my wife. It's the back room.
Hey, I'll move. Oh, my bad.
There you go. That's the picture. They make great tour pictures anyway. Good. Yeah.
No way.
She said she heard this like 2 months out. And I was just telling him over the south.
What happened? What happened? What?
So, if you have a solid light,
What?
if you have a solid light on any of it, it's probably from the hotel and the restaurant that we're in this way. Alright, so guys, this is Lodge Alley. I kind of, like, especially when I have my larger groups, I stop here for a few minutes, we kind of mosey through it. This used to be a street, like where people lived. So this place was a pretty big deal. So the fact that you got infant, kind of like I'll have to look to see who actually had kids that lived down here. I have the full roster of residents that lived here back all the way back to 1701. But also keep in mind, like, this was still relatively close to the water. So the people that lived on this street, like, this was considered lower class Charleston. They've done archaeological digs in between the bricks. Watch the palmetto bug right above your head, Shelby.
Appreciate that, dude.
You didn't run. That's a good thing. You obviously live down here. But they found silverware and tools and little things in between the bricks. Obviously, the bricks you're walking on are original clay bricks. But the masons also used to be down here too. So on a cooler night, which this would have been a cooler night for us in Charleston, they'd be down here in suits talking business. So again, super cool place to just see, because it is one of our oldest streets. And the hotel behind me is Lodge Alley Inn. It has its own ghost. Of course, every hotel down here has its own ghost. I have no time with any historical figures, so I don't really talk about it. As we're going to go through to the end of this alley, we're going to be in a neighborhood, so it'll be a no laser zone for sure. And at that point, tour guides are not allowed to be tour guides, so we will literally be 5 friends just ghost hunting. So we're going to make a right outside of here, but Shelby, if you want to...
Y'all, what I tell y'all, he popped into the frame of this camper and I had to look out to make sure he was there. Oh man, y'all.
That's funny. But yeah, if you want to hang back, just kind of right behind us and take another picture going the opposite way, that would be cool too. So,
Wait, now what? can't hear out this one.
Take a
Oh, yeah,
picture.
good.
Yeah,
Look
that
that
way.
way.
Opposite way. Like once we get down the end.
I have so much salt water in my left ear.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to push that into snap, but y'all, I really did almost have a stroke. Because I was looking and then he was there. So I was looking for him to skip his motion.
Ooh, Shelby. Ooh, shit, dang.
Taking that ball back. Everybody still see? See all kinds of friends here tonight. The only one. Alright, open toe shoes. I just want to make sure that's true.
Jake.
So when are y'all going back?
Tomorrow night.
Okay. About a 4-hour drive for you guys? 3 hours?
It's like 3 hours.
Once I get up to Pennsylvania, like I'm staying near Pittsburgh with my in-laws, but it's a 3-hour drive just to get to Gettysburg from where we're staying.
Checking the temperature. Look, sweetie. I hope there's a restaurant. You know you got ice cream in the area. What restaurant? Hey, Ghost, you get hungry?
Should ask them where's a good place to eat.
What's a good place to eat around here, Ghost? Oh, I swear that shit just dropped 50. Oh, did you feel that breeze too? Cause it's a fucking okay, fine. Beep, 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 beep. That's a ghost. Oh, look. Oh, proof. That's one dropping like 7 and that, but oh shit. Man, it's been going for an hour already. Hour 4 minutes.
Yeah, we can grab a picture while it's still with me. We're going to head down here, but this is like a really popular spot for tours. If there's any other tours out there, which I haven't seen any. Should I have this antenna pulled up or no? Yeah. It's a rarity that I see anybody actually use it, and I still get questions for it. Guys, I actually started this tour with only 3 gadgets, believe it or not. So I'd actually have to kind of like have people bounce the gadgets around.
Hello.
I didn't make anything out of it. I can put it somewhere. Grab that.
Today a good day.
See it? Yeah, right there. Like literally, like right in there.
What do you got?
Oh, this is the rat.
It's funny, he's actually on a wall down there. So I only bought beer, which is good. I actually got my bucks in it. So this is now known as Philadelphia Alley. We had to name it after a city that bailed us out of one of our fires after dueling became illegal, because this was once Dueler's Alley. So
Keep going.
you've already heard this one?
No, I thought that maybe I recognized this, but
You
keep
probably
going.
did.
I'm not trying to
So
turn
every
your
other
back.
ghost tour will actually make this their big finale. I'm going to give you the skinny in about 4 minutes. It's pretty quick and simple. The cool thing is we actually have gadgets to prove it true, rather than just me telling you a ghost story. So, Dueler's Alley, keep in mind, during this time of duels, thousands, hundreds of duels have actually occurred down here, but we only talk about one, and that's the duel between Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd and his friend. So the doctor moved down here from Jersey. He was going to get married to his fiancée Amanda. Do we still have a square on there for recording? Just want to make sure you still got it. Yeah, you're good. So anyway, his fiancée Amanda, her parents just passed away, and she had inherited a ton of money. And the two were going to get married, and the lawyer said, no, you're not going to get married. I want you to go start your practice somewhere else, and then we'll talk about marriage. So he comes down here to Charleston. So the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. He's going to turn it down. Just the buttons at the top. There. Yeah.
Oh, scroll. Okay.
So the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed because he's a doctor, right? He's probably got money. So somebody passing by named Ralph Isaac said, you don't want to stay here. He set you up, let me get you somewhere safe. So he takes him over to 59 Church Street, which is about 1.5 miles from where we are now. So the two become friends. Ralph is a normal Charlestonian. He's got ties in the community. And the doctor's actually moving up in hierarchy. So he became known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time. So if you Google the Whistling Doctor, this is the story you'll read. But the two became separated a little bit because of where they were in society. They still used to go to the plays together. So whenever there was a new play in town, they would go, but it had to sit in different seats. So they had to talk about the plays on the way home. So one night they were talking about a play they went to go see and a new actress that was in town. The doctor loved her, Ralph did not. It turned into an insult party on the doctor's fiancée back home, and the two got pissed off at each other and went their separate ways. Ralph, having ties in the community, writes in the paper what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston, and the doctor rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley and we're going to settle this once and for all, which means death. So the two come down here, they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. However, Ralph takes 2 shots below the knees. The doctor drops. Normally the loser of a duel would go through this gate and be dropped in his grave over at St. Philip's. And then the rest of the witnesses would go party and celebrate the winner and have a pint. However, the doctor didn't die, so his friends pick him up, they carry him back home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later. He's got 2 gunshot wounds, and he's a doctor, and he can't heal himself. I'm talking about, I want to say, 1840s. So, at any rate, it is said as you walk through this alley, and it sounds just like this, even during the daytime, East Bay hustling and bustling, is you can hear the doctor's whistles and or gunshots. So, we have the audio. So when you're listening to this, crank it up, listen for those whistles. I have caught some from time to time. It's not always, but most of them I can debunk because people in Charleston know the story and they like to mess with us ghost hunters. But it's Sunday, so who knows what we're going to actually catch. At the end of this is residential. So obviously we're going to be 5 friends again. Not that we're not already friends, but the bricks as we keep walking are going to get older. I already told you the one cool feature about this alley. But the bricks down there were actually sun-dried bricks turned by slave children. So what that means is that they literally had to turn those bricks every hour to make them dry because they didn't have the ovens to dry them. There's still fingerprints and 1 full handprint down there. Now, they are in 3 different places around Charleston. This happens to be one of them. I'll point it out to you guys, so whoever's next to me, I'll point it out. It'll probably be all 4 of you. But we can't linger because it's somebody's home right next to it. That's their address is 3 Philadelphia Alley. You'll see those houses on the right. They're really pretty, so you want to take a quick pic of their backyard as we're going by, make it quick. It's really pretty. Who knows, they might actually have some activity. But kind of be listening. You can obviously listen to your spirit box. Let me know if you hear anything. Ralph likes to come through. I've had him come through several times on the different spirit boxes. He'll say his name, or the letter R, or gun, wound, those kind of things. So he's pretty happy about himself.
fact that he shot his friend. Good for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a walk down here. There's also a plaque in the center, so that's another good picture. Your EMF may go off right in the middle because we do have the actor studio there for the auction clear.
Gun. Shoot. How
Wait
did
to
you
see this
kill
video
me?
as still as you guys have been with that thing. You get some videos or something, we're just doing that. So the wall, guys, is original. So where the building is on the right, that's where the cemetery for St. Philip's is.
Are there any cemeteries that you can go to at night?
Technically, no. Most of them are on lockdown. The reason why I call the stories in the cemetery is because Charleston has many tragedies and fires for hurricanes, earthquakes, wars. The whole place is a cemetery. We're walking over 93 right now.
Yeah.
However, I do get that random customer from time to time that'll text me before they book a tour and say, how many cemeteries did you actually look for? Like, none. But then they don't book because they actually want to go to the cemetery. So my argument is you actually want to be, what spirit want to hang out with a buried? They want to go to their custom place.
How did you kill your friend?
And it did it again. So that's 4 times this week that light has flickered when I've gone by. Guys, I promise I have nothing on me. That's the 4th time this week since Tuesday that light is flickered. So 4 out of 6 nights.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And I've been doing this a year, and it just now started doing it. So it can't be a motion light.
That's kind of creepy.
Start to see some of the fingerprints that come through with some slash marks. See some more up there.
Hey, here's one at 178.
That's not a 1 before, that's the crosscut. That's just 80, 79, 80.
Shit, that's the first one that I got in 70s though.
There's a sewer right there too.
Oh, huh.
Shoot it right here where it's standing.
It's sitting like at 80,
Is there anyone near us?
83.
Huh? It's like really close.
How did you die? How did you die?
If there's any spirits near us speaking.
Yeah, he said he was gonna keep it moving.
Oh, did very good. Our bad. I think we did not follow directions. Playhouse. That sounds.
Sound like a playhouse.
Whoa, this thing said my name.
Nuh-uh.
I swear.
No, it did.
I mean, it was the start of a song there, but it was like, I swear.
That's crazy. Because we
I
were like,
swear.
who do you want to talk to? And it just said Jake's name.
So obviously we're like an hour and 20 minutes over, so I'll have to check that on the S-phone. So that's why I say it out loud. So I have it on audio. It doesn't record any of us. It just records with sweeping.
Oh, okay.
That's why I have this as kind of the backup.
So you kind of lay the two.
People are with us.
I just heard something over there. I'm not so sure. You want to hold her?
What a strange. Just take these.
So the last building, go ahead and let's cut that for a second, just a minute or two. So normally I get like 2 goes when I'm looking at this brick building over here. The first one, she's just been coming up over the past few weeks. If we go the opposite way where we came out of the alley, there's a restaurant there called Poogan's Porch. And it's haunted by the dog Poogan, and then Zoe St. Amand, who is the previous owner. Zoe likes to come through with her full name, Zoe, and I know it's her because it's spelled specifically Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. Do you need a light?
I got
Oh,
you.
dude,
So
yeah.
And I usually ask questions like, what kind of business did you have? Because the other business was dealing with the cotton industry. So this way I know if it's either a restaurant or something related to food, or if it's something related to trade and business. And I've already gotten the word cook on the way over here. So I'm kind of getting the feeling Zoe might come through as we keep walking. But this building actually has a story behind it. Again, cotton industry, the last person who owned it as part of a cotton industry, his name was George Pereira. He inherited the business from his dad. He was a silver spoon kid, clueless on business, got himself into a bunch of debt. He also had the boll weevil in town, which is a bug that eats cotton, so he was really up the creek with what to do with this business. So instead of selling it to the American government, he sells to the British, not telling them about the boll weevil that's here in town. And the ship rolls up by Pineapple Park. I don't know if you guys came walking around down this way earlier, but the wharf would have been much closer to but he's watching from the 2nd story window. Some say the 3rd story, but every time we've asked, it's been the number 2, 2nd, those kind of things. So I'm kind of confirming it's the 2nd floor, and the legend is wrong. So they unload all the bales of cotton from these back garage doors that are used now onto the ship. Somebody gets too close to it with a pipe, the whole ship goes up in flames because the cotton is obviously flammable. George is watching the whole thing. Everybody dies on the ship. They're all jumping. They're dead, gone. So he can't pay off all his debt. He's already depressed, and now his dad's legacy's gone. So what's he do? He piles up all the furniture, swings a noose, and he hangs himself. So it is said that you can see the shadow of a swinging corpse from the 2nd story window. The legend says 3rd story, but I'm going to go with 2nd. The other weird thing about this building, now first off, it's being used as condos now in the back, and then the front they're turning into a wedding reception venue, so it'll have 3 floors plus a rooftop, and it'll be considered waterfront, so it's going to go for a shit ton of money. Yeah, plus like a 10-star restaurant inside to cater everything. So we kind of have to be somewhat careful with lasers. Like, I'll just say no lasers at this point until we get to the very front. The very front, if you guys look at the back of the building, like the high point actually has like a somewhat of a peak, like a mountaintop. There's a similar shape on the very front, and on some nights, like last night I want to say it was like a 15-degree difference from the very crest of it to the next same type of stone down, which relatively should be the same temperature. But we're going to test that with the infrared thermometer. There's another reason why I handed that out. Who's got that now?
Oh, it's in my pocket.
Okay, so cool. Just to kind of have it ready. I got the name Benjamin. And I get weird names around here too. It might have been workers that were in the cotton warehouse. So I get all kinds of shit. You just never know. But anyway, we're going to test that when we get to the front. But we're going to cross legally. Listen to your spirit box. Ask questions like who's with us, Zoe or George. Ask very specific because those two were very, very stubborn. And also, Zoe was her Saint Amand is French. So a lot of French kind of weird things around, like we have the French Quarter, French Huguenots, those kind of things that were around here. So I've had the word French and things relating to her family crest in the past before too. Because I want to say there's a lion on their family crest. I've had whatever animal was on their crest before. So again, we never know what we're going to get. So let's take a look at this last building, and then we'll see what we capture, and then we're going to test my theory and see what actually happens with that.
Zoe or George?
Yeah.
Zoe or George with us?
Weird, that thing just said George.
If that was you, can you repeat it? This is.
Hey, George.
Got the word late.
you know our names?
Go ahead and take that gun, your infrared gun, and I want you to shoot. See where the white crest is at the very top? That laser will go that high. Give me the temperature, guys. All the way up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yep, get that one first.
That is 64.2.
Okay, now get the one below it, same color, right there.
80.
Yeah, 16-degree difference. There's no reason why that should be 16-degree difference.
63. I'll move
You're
over
going
there
to
and it's 70.
the crosswalk.
Move right there and it's 70.
Still, like the ley lines are right underneath it. Yep. Sorry, I should have told you about the excited. Should remind you we're back on East Bay. But this is a good spot for finding cell. So we got George with us.
We know. We know.
Did you?
Yeah, George, 2 times. We asked who was here, George or Zoe. And he said George, and then
So if that was
Jake-
you, repeat it.
and he said George,
Okay.
straight up.
Good deal. So again, an hour and a half into it, we're good to go. We should actually have some legitimate there. But I usually ask questions like, what happened to the ship? Again, I'm looking for that fire, burn, cotton gone. You know, so it might be 2 different phrases. You know, on there, obviously it might even be broken because they're trying to find in 2 different voices to say what actually happened. But I got the word cell. It says priest, and I don't think there was to a congregation. I just want to say it was business from like regular trade with Britain.
Isn't all trade with Britain called a priest and goods?
It may have been. George, can you tell us what happened to the ship? George, tell us what happened to the ship. You get anything?
I kind of make it out.
George.
Alright, George, can you tell us how you committed suicide? Yeah, and we're on a main street, so it's going to. She got excited over there too, and I think I busted her bubble. But they were sitting there all sad. George, I want you to tell us how you committed suicide. You told me before. Wait for one more term to come through, and then we'll call it, since it seems to be pretty calm. Heard Zoe said in there. So if you're here too, tell us what kind of business you had. I'm gonna say I heard like restaurant hot plates. So it's a rewind by about 10 seconds from where meals. What kind of utensils did you give people to eat? Alright, Zoe, good night. We're gonna leave. Just waiting for one more term to come through. Alright, so you guys actually ended up with 61 terms. So that'll be on your evidence page in the morning. But I'm going to go ahead and call it. Go ahead and hit the square for me on the thermal.
This.
Yep. Go ahead and